Joe King comes out on stage and says,
Hello, yes, my name's Joe King. I'm not joking, though I do prefer to be called Juris Dr. King. Anyway, with the NFL season upon us, we thought we'd have our resident super fan, Todd O'Connor, come out and give us a preview of the upcoming NFL season.
Chris Farley, as Todd O'Connor, dressed in all Chicago Bears gear, comes out on stage. Applause, applause, applause. King.
Now, Todd, you were part of the famed Superfans on Saturday Night Live, but you died young. What led to your demise?
Farley. Too many heart attacks, Joe.
King. Too many heart attacks. Very good. Okay. Now, you went through the NFL season and predicted a winner for every game. Why don't you give us a rundown of who's going to make the playoffs?
Farley. Gotcha, Joe. I'll start in the AFC, where I have the Buffalo Bills as the number 1 seed at 14-3. Followed by the Jaguars as the number 2 seed at 13-4. Then the Chiefs is the 3 seed at 12-5. The Bengals is the 4 seed at 12-5. The Jets is the 5 seed at 14-3. The Chargers is the 6 seed at 11-6. And the Ravens is the 7 seed at 11-6.
King. Okay, and how about the NFC?
Farley. I have the Bears as the number 1 seed at 17-0.
King. Todd, the Bears undefeated. They had the worst record in the league last year.
Farley. I know, but they made many improvements to their team, most notably bringing in superstar receiver DJ Moore, and they improved their O-line and defense. So Justin Fields is going to have a huge season and be unanimous MVP.
King. If you say so. Okay, how about the rest of the NFC?
Farley. I have the Niners as the 2 seed at 14-3. The Eagles is the 3 seed at 13-4. The Saints is the 4 seed at 7-10, winning a shitty division. The Seahawks is the 5 seed at 10-7. The Vikings is the 6 seed at 9-8. And the Cowboys is the 7 seed at 9-8.
King. Okay, and how do you see the Bears' arch rivals, the Green Bay Packers, doing this year now that they're without Aaron Rodgers?
Farley. I have no love for the Packers, Joe, and I see them going 0-17.
King. Okay, and how do you see the playoffs shaking out?
Farley. In the wild card round, I see the Jets upsetting the Bengals, the Chiefs beating the Chargers, and the Jags beating the Ravens. While in the NFC, I see the Seahawks beating the Saints, with the Eagles beating the Vikings, and the Niners beating the Cowboys. In the divisional round in the AFC, I see the Chiefs over the Jags and the Jets over the Bills. While in the NFC, I see the Niners over the Eagles and the Bears over the Seahawks, 85-0.
King. Wow.
Farley. In the conference championships, I see the Jets upsetting the Chiefs narrowly and the Bears over the Niners, 127-0.
Okay, 127 points, huh? So who do you see winning the Jets-Bears Super Bowl?
Farley. After Aaron Rodgers committed blasphemy over the years by saying that he owned the Bears, he's going to get a rude awakening in the Super Bowl, with the Bears owning him and his Jets by a score of 267-0.
Okay, and what if Mike Ditka was coaching the Bears?
Farley. Then the score would be 500-0.
King. Okay, very good. That was Todd O'Connor with his 2023 NFL preview.
Applause, applause, applause. King walks off stage and onto another stage, sits at a seat behind a desk and says,
Please welcome to the program one of the great leaders and prophets in all of human history, Moses.
Moses emerges from behind the curtain and waves at the audience. Applause, applause, applause. Moses walks over and takes a seat next to King's desk. King.
Welcome to the program, Moses.
Moses. Thank you for having me.
King. Now you were born at a time when your people, the Israelites, who would eventually become the great and wonderful Jewish people, were an enslaved minority in Egypt.
Moses. Yes, this was a grave misjustice.
King. Now I know you didn't write the 10 Commandments yourself, and we'll get to those in your role. But how come thou shalt not have slaves isn't one of the commandments?
Moses. Arguably, slavery falls under the 8th commandment, thou shalt not steal, as a slave owner is stealing labor without paying for it.
King, wow, that's a fabulous answer. Okay, anyway, at the time you were born, the Israelites were slaves in Egypt, and the Egyptian pharaoh feared that since they were increasing in population, that they would align themselves with Egypt's enemies.
Moses. That is my understanding, yes.
King, therefore your mother, Jochebed, an Israeli, hid you after the pharaoh ordered all the newborn Israeli or Hebrew boys to be killed in order to reduce the population of the Israelites.
Moses. That she did, and I am forever grateful to my mother for her brave sacrifice.
King, very good. Now the pharaoh's daughter, Bethia, adopted you as a foundling after you were found floating in a basket in the Nile.
Moses. I was very lucky that I was found by Bethia. Otherwise my story would have been very different.
King. Now how was it growing up in a royal family?
Moses. Well, Bethia and the royals knew I was a Hebrew, so even though I lived a life of comfort and privilege, with access to the best education, resources, and opportunities that Egypt had to offer, and was surrounded by people who loved and cared for me, I still felt like an outsider, and I loathed the treatment of the Israeli people during that time in Egypt.
Okay, interesting. Now, when you were grown, you saw an Egyptian slave master beating a Hebrew slave and you killed him, correct?
Moses. Correct.
King. Isn't the sixth commandment that thou shalt not kill?
Moses. The 10 Commandments weren't around yet. No, but I knew it was wrong. I panicked and made a poor decision that I've always regretted. I was not a perfect person, but I did my best to be one from that point forward.
Okay, very good. Now, after you murdered the slave master, you exiled yourself across the Red Sea to Midian?
Moses. Yes, and while there I encountered an angel of the Lord who spoke to me through a burning bush on Mount Horeb, which I regarded as the mountain of God.
King. Now by bush you mean a shrub as opposed to a woman's genitalia, correct?
Moses. Correct.
King, very good. And what did this burning bush tell you?
Moses. It told me to go back to Egypt and to demand the release of the Israelites from slavery.
King, very good. So what did you do from there?
Moses. Well, after the 10 plagues which God sent down to persuade the Egyptians to release the Israelites.
King, I'm sorry, 10 plagues?
Moses. Yes, turning water to blood, frogs, lice, wild animals, pestilence of livestock, boils, thunderstorm of hail and fire, locusts, 3 days of darkness, and the death of firstborn sons.
King, holy shit, God wasn't fucking around, was he?
Moses. No, he was not. He was looking to save his chosen people.
King. For the record, I say this a lot, but I want God, if he's listening, to know I am unapologetically pro-Semitic. Okay, anyway, so what happened after the 10 plagues befell the Egyptians?
Moses. I led the Israelites out of Egypt by parting the Red Sea.
King. See, I've always wondered about that. How were you able to do that? Was it with the help of aliens or something?
Moses. No, just God.
King, wow, he really takes a back seat these days compared to then. He used to be so active. Anyway, so what happened after you led the Israelites through the parted Red Sea?
Moses. We based ourselves at Mount Sinai, and there God gave me the 10 Commandments.
King. Which he himself violated by killing the Egyptians' firstborn sons.
Moses. Do as he say, not as he does.
King. Very good. And from there?
Moses. From there I kept leading my people toward the promised land, but died at Mount Nebo at 120 years old.
King. Well, Moses, it has been an honor and a privilege having you on the program, but before you go, can you talk to God about that commandment about coveting my neighbor's wife? My neighbor Ron has just a perfect tent for a wife, huge cans and everything.
Moses. Sorry, I cannot do that.
King. Very well. Moses, everybody.
Applause, applause, applause.
King. That's all the time we have for this show, but tune in to the next one where we interview another deceased guest. Until then, I'm Joe King, and I'm not joking.